Governor Charles Brantley Aycock. Speech to the North Carolina Society, Baltimore, December 18th, 1903. The life and speeches of Charles Brantley Aycock, page 161 to 163. I am proud of my state because there we have solved the Negro problem. We have taken him out of politics and have thereby secured good government under any party and laid foundations for the future development of both races. We have secured peace and rendered prosperity a certainty. I am inclined to give you our solution of this problem. It is first, as far as possible under the 15th Amendment, to disenfranchise him. After that, let him alone. Quit writing about him. Quit talking about him. Quit making him, quote unquote, the white man's burden. Let him, quote unquote, tote his own skillet. Quit coddling him. Let him learn that no man, no race ever got anything worth the having that he did not himself earn. The character is the outcome of sacrifice, and worth is the result of toil. That whatever his future may be, the present has in it for him nothing that is not the product of industry, thrift, obedience to law, and uprightness. That he cannot, by resolution of council or league, accomplish anything. That he can do much by work. That violence may gratify his passions, but it cannot accomplish his ambitions. That he may eat rarely of the cooking of equality, but he will always find when he does that, there is death in the pot. Let the Negro learn once for all that there is unending separation of the races, that the two peoples may develop side by side to the fullest, but that they cannot intermingle. Let the white man determine that no man shall by act or thought or speech cross this line, and the race problem will be at an end. These things are not said in enmity to the Negro, but in regard for him. He constitutes 1/3 of the population of my state. He has always been my personal friend. As a lawyer, I have often defended him. As a governor, I have frequently protected him. But there flows in my veins the blood of the dominant race, the race that has conquered the earth and seeks out the mysteries of the heights and depths. If manifest destiny, look that up, manifest destiny. If manifest destiny leads to the seizure of Panama, it is certain that it likewise leads to the dominance of the Caucasian. When the Negro recognizes this fact, we shall have peace and goodwill between the races. But I would not have the white people forget their duty to the Negro. We must seek the truth and pursue it. We owe an obligation to the quote-unquote man in black. We brought him here. He served us well. He is patient and teachable. You see how he talk to you like some savage? See how the European relates your savagery to being patient and teachable? We owe him gratitude. Above all, we owe him justice. We cannot forget his fidelity, and we ought not to magnify his faults. We cannot change his color, neither can we ignore his service. No individual ever rose on stepping stones of dead, others to higher things, and no people can. We must rise by ourselves. We must execute judgment in righteousness. We must educate not only ourselves, but see to it that the Negro has an opportunity for education. As a white man, I am afraid of but one thing for my race, and that is that we shall become afraid to give the Negro a fair chance. The first duty of every man is to develop himself to the utmost, and the only limitation upon his duty is that he shall take pains to see that in his own development he does no injustice to those beneath him. It is true of races as well as individuals. Considered properly, it is not a limitation but a condition of development. The white man in the South can never attain to his fullest growth until he does absolute justice to the Negro race. If he is doing that now, it is well for him. If he is not doing it, he must seek to know the ways of truth and pursue them. My own opinion is that so far we have done well, and that the future holds no menace for us if we do the duty which lies next to us, training, developing the coming generation so that the problems which seem difficult to us shall be easy to them. Right? Charles Brantley Aycock, Aycock, Negro problem. Marcus Garvey, the white man's solution for the Negro problem in America. Immediately after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation in America, the white man started to think how he could solve the new problem of the Negro. He saw that the Negro could not be slaughtered by wholesale killing, in that it would be a blot on American civilization. He therefore had to resort to some means of solving the problem, which meant the extinction of the Negro in America. The plan he decided on was as follows. Now that America is undeveloped and we have about 34 million in population, 30 being white and 4 black, a number not large enough to develop the country as we want it, we will use the 4 million blacks until we have built up the country sufficiently. And when we no longer need their labor, we will throw them off and let them starve economically and die of themselves or emigrate elsewhere. We care not where. Then no one can accuse us of being inhumane to the Negro, as we shall not have massacred him. A hearty welcome is extended to white people from all parts of the world to come and settle in America. They come in by the thousands every month. Why? The idea is to build up a vast white population in America so as to make the white people independent of Negro labor, thereby depriving them of the means of livelihood and the wherewithal to buy bread, which means that in a short while they will die of starvation. Those of us who study industrial conditions among the race must have noticed that Negroes in America have been thrown out of jobs that they occupied formerly, and their positions taken by European immigrants. Now, if the white people have not reached the apex of their intention industrially as far as the development of the country is concerned, and they have exhibited such a degree of prejudice since they started their plan, how much more prejudiced will they not become in the next 100 years, when their population will be doubled by emigration and birth rate? This is the problem the Negro has to face in America. What are you going to do with this question of race? You may sit quietly by, but it is going to be serious later on. And that is why the Universal Negro Improvement Association is endeavoring to assist you in solving the Negro problem by helping the Negro to become enterprising, independent politically, and by having a country of his own. If you follow me down the ages, you will see that within 100 years, you are going to have a terrible race problem in America, when you will have increased and the country will become overpopulated. It will be a fight for existence between two opposite races. The weak will have to go down in defeat before the strong. In the riots of Washington, East St. Louis, Chicago, Tulsa, study the race question, and you will find that some serious thinking must be done now to solve this problem. Otherwise, our children will be confronted with it. Marcus Garvey, forerunner of the Moorish movement. And Marcus Garvey is clearly explaining to his people that they need to be independent politically. Like, what do you mean be independent politically? Like, what's he getting at? He's getting at, you should have your own stuff. It should be our own so-called police stopping us, not a foreigner. Shouldn't be a foreigner stopping us. Because if they're foreign, where they get jurisdiction to stop the natural people? Where did they derive the power? What's the European going to say? The European is going to say, well, we derive the power from the Constitution. And then they're going to tell the Negro, you're not party to it. So don't even talk about constitutions and rights and all that stuff, because so-called blacks, Africans, slaves or whatever cannot be citizens of the United States. Nobody could be the citizens of the United States, because the United States is a private European foreign inquisitionist colonial corporation. That's why so many Europeans are denouncing their U.S. citizenship and going back to the ancient names, nationalities of their foremothers and forefathers. Because the European realizes that the so-called corporation that they thought was a government wants them, Europeans in America, to be the new black people. And then they're going to eliminate the middle class. And right now they're in the process of solving the Negro problem so they can make Europeans the new Negro problem. But with all this adrenaline going through the world with people losing their mind, the so-called Europeans who are denouncing their U.S. citizenship and going back to where they come from are now opening the door for the immigrants from other countries to come here and be the new nigger. But remember, the immigrants who's coming from other places, they have a nationality. So when they come here from other places, they're getting all the benefits that the so-called black guy was supposed to get, but the black guys didn't want to have a nationality. They thought having a nationality had to do something with religion or worshiping some man or whatever. So they lost out. And now they're bitching and complaining about they don't have nothing. Well, 100 years you're supposed to have your nationality. And you keep saying that the individual who's violating you is a European, when really it's your own brothers and sisters that's violated you. Which is why you have nothing. And which is why they have nothing, because they're just puppets for the inquisitionist colonial powers. All your black leaders work for the colonial powers. All of them. We said it in the class before. If they're not telling you about Moors, they work for the system. The same system that you're complaining about that's abusing you. Why are they abusing you? Because they have more power than us. Where do they get the power from? From the black leaders. Who? The black leaders should be giving the power to the people. That's what the Panthers were about. That's what Fred Hampton was about. He wasn't about giving European the power. There's power to the people.